Let's face it, it's a trying time for everyone. Recently, in trying to get a refund from an airline for quite a large amount of money, and being almost on the brink of debt, the whole process triggered all kinds of hidden fears inside, from feeling of helplessness to the fear of loss of having nothing, even though on one level I seemingly had nothing to worry about, as I was already housed, clothed, and fed. Eventually, after persevering for nearly 5 months, I've now managed to reclaim most of it, and am deeply grateful for the experience of expanding and cleaning my heart in the process. A truly trying journey of remaining trusting. Recognizing the dilemmas that the airline industry itself must have faced didn't deter me from maintaining a vigilant inquiry. Being honest about the emerging fears and seeing the small shifts of the expanding heart made me recognize that to become truly trusting begins with a deep investment in oneself, to clean one's own energies of old pains and redundant fears. And more importantly, it's an effort, an act, a consistent investment in staying honest, non-defensive, understanding, and communicating. It also brought to light how over the years these subliminal fears had created an unconscious agenda inside myself. One that said, you have to be self-sustaining, don't take root anywhere, don't lean on anyone too much. I hadn't realized the inhibitive effect this had had, more like a shadow that had hung over my ability to develop close, nurturing and trusting relationships. So I'm deeply grateful to realize that the pure effort of cleaning my energy creates the breeding ground for trust. There's that age-old question, to trust or not to trust. Well, if the law of karma draws our attention to the present, that as we sow, so shall we reap, then surely being trusting must be a good investment. As Gandhi so aptly puts it, trust begets trust. Suspicion is fetid and only stinks. He who trusts has never yet lost in the world. I guess it's human to trust. We've done so from the moment we entered this world as babies. It's an innate impulse, and yet it's been tempered over time as we've inherited beliefs and stereotypes, influences, and set up expectations to be somehow validated by others or by achieving something. Paradoxically, in growing up, we seem to have lost connection with the quiet essence of who we really are. That child inside that is also a master. We seem to have become more fragile in our sense of self and hence trusting ourselves. And so I wonder if the pain of being betrayed is actually a breakdown of those false beliefs and stereotypes. In other words, feeling betrayed by another might just mean that I've only been defeated by my assumptions or false expectations or prejudices of another, not really by them. Research has shown us that the brain chemistry governing our emotions also plays a role in trust. For example, oxytocin plays an important role in social bonding. Physical touch also has a strong connection to the experience of trust. There are many greeting rituals around the world that involve touching. The all-American firm handshake is just one example. However, in India, it's important to note that the greeting gesture of namaste doesn't involve touching another. It's my own two hands meeting together in grace with a slight bow, denoting the meaning, I bow to the divine in you. Meaning that being trusting may not necessarily be about a mutual social contract, but rather a spiritual act of investment by relating to what's divine in you. Gandhi once said, I trust men only because I trust God. My own mentor, Daddy Janki, was once asked, how can I trust someone who lies to me? And she proceeded to reply, you can never be certain of another's motivations or behaviour, but you can trust how God wants to use them. In other words, if you place your trust in God, that activates a trusting flow that allows you to work with a higher perception beyond your own judgments and stereotypes. And there's something about the relationship with God, the divine, or whatever term feels most comfortable for that higher power, that makes you feel supported and sustained and cared for. Perhaps rather like a long-lost child returning back to its eternal parent. Rebonding spiritually heals the limited pains of being a polarized human. Engaging in a spiritually trusting bond must revive faith that no matter what the external packaging, intrinsically, I am okay and we are all okay. Gandhi once said, you must not lose faith in humanity. Humanity is like an ocean. If a few drops of the ocean are dirty, the ocean doesn't become dirty. And so I wonder if trust is about getting into the boat of life, and faith is knowing that you'll get to the other side. And as we wrap up, a little nod to the feeling of discontentment. If we don't do the work to find our cleanliness and inner contentment, then there's a high likelihood of it being triggered and capitalized on, our discontentment. A sense of emptiness usually breeds discontentment, and this can be woken up and fed powerfully by something external. A bit like a small fire burning that can be activated into a blaze in no time at all. When discontentment burns like a blaze, intelligence and discernment dissipate, as noisiness and restlessness take root in our minds. And this can ultimately manifest into meaningless, violent expressions that only serve to damage us further. Getting to the roots of our spiritual identity is the only way to become more trusting, as there is no person or government in the world that can fully guarantee my security and satisfaction. That is my work alone. So are you ready to make an investment in being trusting? It can only lead to repairing broken bonds and experiencing and increasing the experience of true love.